Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you so much for the invitation. I was actually wondering what more I can say on this platform, given the amazing talks that I've seen up to now. As Diniko has indicated, I work for SARAO, the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory. We are building the largest telescope in the world in the Northern Cape. And I've been with SARAO about 4.5 years now. By the way, from the beginning of next month, I'll be moving to a new position as the Deputy Managing Director for Business Processes and Operations at SARAO. I mean, in a way, part of what I want to talk about is the journey of getting there and what it represents for the choices that we make as women. A little bit about myself. I was born in Meadowlands, Soweto. I grew up primarily in Soweto, the eldest of 3 siblings. No, 2 other siblings, sorry. You know, my parents about a couple of years ago celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. And I say this because I think that sometimes when you talk about our journeys, we really have to take into account the context of what are some of the factors that allow us to be here. I primarily want to talk about, you know, being able to say yes and what that sometimes represents for all of us. My first yes, I would say, was when I was about 23 years old, working for Anglo-American Research Laboratories. I started my job as a mineralogist, then moved on to become an engineer. I've kind of, if you look at my CV, you can tell I'm very restless. And one of the most amazing women that have to some extent shaped my career, Dr. Hannah Hosh, approached me and asked me if I wanted to head up a unit that was doing X-ray diffraction tests on diamond samples at the lab. And without even knowing what that entailed, I said yes. And spend probably a full week freaking out every day, trying to figure out why I would say yes to something that I know so little about. And, you know, I'm kind of glad. At the time, I didn't really deliberately know that I was making that type of choice. It was just someone I liked who I thought really highly of, saying, do you want to do this? And me thinking yes without really thinking it through. The value of that is that, I mean, it's kind of really giving me the courage to take on stuff that I don't even know what it's going to involve, and never look back throughout my career. When I took on this division, they were really struggling. Results were poor. There was inconsistency of work. And I now had to work with a team of about 6 people, all of whom knew exactly what they were doing, had been really good at their work for some time, and due to just, I guess, some lack of attention and leadership, just the team's performance started slipping. And I remember thinking, you know, the only thing I have to go on is what I always had, being curious. So I thought, okay, what I'm gonna do first is actually do their job for a while. So we had shifts, I did shifts, and I was, by the way, supposedly their boss. I did shifts. I learned as much as I could, give myself a month to figure it all out. And when I was ready, then I decided, okay, now I know what to do and I'm going to start implementing some changes. 3 months later, we actually won the CEO award for the unit that was best performing in the organization. And I must be honest, I'm not necessarily sure I knew what I was doing every single time, but I really trusted my instinct, and sometimes that's all that it takes, you know, being willing to do things you're not really comfortable with, but then doing them anyway. I, over the years, have been a lot more deliberate about saying yes to a lot of things. I can't necessarily say I've always enjoyed things I've said yes to, but even the things that I have said yes to and didn't enjoy, I have found that, you know, the discomfort wasn't as much as the learning that came out of even doing things I didn't particularly like. To get to this journey, I've said a whole lot more yeses along the way. And sometimes it's not always about advancing one's career or any more money, or, you know, even just proving that you can do something. Sometimes it's because you're just fascinated. And so as an example, I left a private sector and joined the Department of, then it used to be the Department of Arts, Culture, Science and Technology. I got excited after the new democracy to be part of rebuilding the science system in South Africa. So despite promises of shares and whatever, you, I was like, nah, I cannot pass up the chance to go do something that I really care about. And while I was at the department, managed to get involved in a whole range of things. And one time my boss asked if I wanted to go with him, visit the space facilities in the Western Cape, because part of what we were doing was figuring out all of these programs that the previous government had created, some of which were people knew about, some were really private, not many people knew. For instance, South Africa had a vibrant space program at some point. We were building rockets, we were building telescopes, and there were facilities to do these things. So off we went. And after we came back, I said, you know, this is fantastic infrastructure. There's no reason why South Africa can't have a space program. Can I have a crack at figuring out what we do with this stuff? And he said, absolutely. And as a result of that, I got to work on establishing the South African National Space Agency. During that period, I say no to becoming a DDG because I really wanted to see this process through. And as a result of getting involved in that type of activity, I was up until February this year, the chair of the Scientific and Technical Subcommittee of the United Nations Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. I wouldn't have had a chance to do something like that if at the time I didn't take on the challenge of working on something. As I say, there was no guarantee I'm gonna get support for it, spend months trying to convince people this is a good idea. And now I look at the fact that there's a whole agency because I decided to say yes to doing something that I wasn't even sure if it was gonna work. And I think that's really what going down these opportunities really entails for everyone. I agree with the previous two speakers. You have to be prepared. And that doesn't mean that you have to know exactly how to tackle a task. I have taken on stuff that even this new appointment scares me seriously. I was gonna use a different word. It scares me more than I have ever done anything. Being the most senior person in an organization that is really very male dominated. Well, being one of the 3 senior people, female, Black, and being responsible for whether the telescope works or not. That is scary, but it wouldn't be good for women everywhere, in particular in South Africa, if I shied away from this challenge. So some of you in this call, I'll probably be leaning on you for support in the next year or so as I stroll into my role. So key things that I've taken away from, saying yes more often than most people should, I think, is that, you kind of have to have faith in power, in a power greater than yourself. Sometimes things happen, we don't know why. And being able to trust that you have good intentions, you're doing everything that you can to make something happen is enough. It doesn't always have to be that everybody believes that you can do it necessarily. As I've said, the discomfort is a lot lesser than the adrenaline rush of just getting in there and getting stuck into doing something new. And believe it or not, I've also discovered that I have more strengths than I thought I did. I am extremely shy. I am an extreme introvert, but there I was at the United Nations, sitting in front, chairing a meeting with representatives, senior government representatives from all 93 countries around the world, and being able to manage a meeting like that should have been something that terrifies me more than anything. But I was there and I had to get the job done. The other thing that I think carries me through in general is I'm extremely curious. If I don't know enough about something and I'm fascinated, I really would spend hours just trying to learn as much as I can about it. I don't always have to necessarily master it. It's a bit like golf. I love it. Learn as much as I can. I can't necessarily say that I'm really good at it, but it doesn't stop me from wanting to do it anyway. The other thing is, doing is different from dreaming. Thinking you can do something and wanting to do it and actually doing it is not the same thing. You have to do. And saying yes forces you to do. Saying no means that the state, you maintain the status quo. But if you continue to say yes, you are forced to do something about having said yes. Listen to your gut, really trust your intuition. If something doesn't feel right anymore, have the courage to say, you know what, I wanted to do this, I don't think I can. And the last thing, or the last 2 things, because I have to say the last one, I'm almost done, Tinigo. Failure isn't a big thing, really it isn't. The only people that are scared of failing is, the only reason people are scared is what other people are gonna think. Seriously, it isn't a big deal. You pick yourself up, you start again. By the time you move on to the next thing, everyone you were worried about has actually forgotten you failed. And the last really important thing is show gratitude. I know a lot of people are going through crazy, crazy stuff right now. And I wake up every day grateful for all the opportunities I've had, for the fact that I'm able to do stuff like this. And I have a roof over my head. I have, you know, a ability to take care of the people I love. And that is something that we should never forget, no matter the circumstances. Thank you, ladies. And I really look forward to engaging with you more as the conference progresses. Thank you.